The ideas and content in this podcast are our own and do not reflect the views or opinions of any current or previous employees.
Dude, practice pays because that was perfect.
Well, we're going on 30 podcasts now.
I think this is 29?
29, 30, something like that.
Don't
the important part is that we're just about to break 40,000 downloads.
Awesome.
Which is huge.
Yes. With great reviews, except for like one. Hate that guy.
Yeah, well, he gave 1 star, no comments, so that guy can go to hell.
I actually got somebody reached out to me, I think it was on LinkedIn, and hopefully she's listening. She's a student. She's a construction management student, and she sent me this profanity-laced review, and she's like, F that guy, and I loved it. I was like, this is my people right here.
Hilarious.
So, and then I was like, oh, wait, this chick's a construction management student somewhere, but it was great.
You're built for the field, girl.
All right, so today's format's gonna be a little bit different because we're starting the first on a series of trades. But before we jump into that, I just want to talk a little bit about Phil Ogilby. He was on the show, the last show, as a matter of fact. He's the CEO of Stack Construction Technology. So Stack, if you didn't listen to the last episode, first of all, shame on you. You need to go back and listen to it. It was amazing. But Stack is a cloud-based pre-construction solution that actually allows you to do faster, more accurate takeoffs, collaborate with your teams, so you can actually, as plans change or specs changes, you can immediately alert your team. So if they're in the field, they're going to get it. Like I said, it's completely cloud-based, so you don't have to download anything. They can just reach it. As long as they've got Wi-Fi service or whatever, internet, they can jump on, review the plans. We were talking last time about the library, so I actually jumped on to do an estimate of siding.
Yep. Because
we had a windstorm. I don't know if you guys were aware, but it ripped some of the siding off my house.
Dude, I build stuff for a living.
Right.
I'm aware.
So I actually did a takeoff. It was super easy. I was able to put the dimensions of the house in there, and eliminated the windows, super accurate. I sent it to a siding contractor. I'm going to have to beat him up a little bit on the price, but
I'm sure he'll be very respectful.
I'll be very respectful. It was super quick. It was super easy to use, and that was the thing that really got me because, if I've sat down with really complicated construction programs and tried to learn them really quick. And if you're running a small business, man, you don't have time to sit there and spend, a month learning something. You need to be able to pick it up quick and just run with it. And Stack was super easy to use. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. Check it out. You can go to the website, stackct.com. You can download a free version of it, or you can create an account for a free trial version of it. Check it out. You're going to love it.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
We talked about it the last podcast. It sounds like the best idea that guy needed desperately when he was running his roofing company, and how it can work for everybody who does anything in this industry, especially trade partners.
You got it. And the fact that he was a roofer is awesome because anybody that's done trade work gets it. They know how difficult it can be and the demands that we put on these trade partners.
Yeah, and you come up short or heavy, I mean, you're gonna lose money because you either have material that you've paid for you can't use, or you don't have enough and you're spending twice as much to go get finished.
You got it. Anyway, go check out stack.com, stackct.com. Check it out. You will not regret it.
So we have a guest today, and this guest is a friend of ours, and I'm glad to have him here. It's Mitch from HDS. They're a drywall and paint company. We used them with our company in 2 states now. Recently. Congratulations on your new state.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Long time coming.
Yeah, definitely.
So one of the reasons we wanted to start our trade series with you, Mitch, is because I'm sure Jason will back this up. You'll probably back this up too. But, paint and drywall, it doesn't matter whether it's residential or commercial, that is probably the most abused trade partner out there. Because when you've got you're getting to that finish line, regardless as to whether or not the construction manager has scheduled you to come in, they need you. They're going to call you up. They're going to demand that you show up, drop everything else, get in here, and that puts a huge burden on our trade partners.
Yeah, it takes a lot of coordination and getting all the pieces in the right places at the right time. And it's definitely a challenge for sure.
For sure. Why don't you tell us a little bit about HDS?
So HDS has been in my family since the late 70s. My father took over from the previous owner at that point, and he's been running it ever since. And I've been heavily involved for the last 11 or 12 years now, and we're growing, expanding, and becoming more advanced every year.
Hey, did you want to get involved with it when you were younger?
Honestly, I did not. I was involved. I started scrapping drywall when I was
Awesome.
13 or 14 years old, and I moved on to hanging, finishing, and point up from there. And
Awesome.
I've done a little bit of everything over all my years.
Well, I bet that actually getting your hands dirty, getting there and doing it gives you a greater appreciation for the people that actually work for you.
Oh, much greater.
Yeah.
I am terrible at it. These guys are artists.
Us too.
Oh my God. Let me tell you, I recently had a leak in my house because my house just leaks. It's like Swiss cheese. Anyway, it's another here and there. But I cut 4 holes, 3 in the wall, 1 in the ceiling. Dude, we had people over for Thanksgiving. It was embarrassing. You're like, what's this?
Yeah.
It's like, don't even look at it. It looks like...
Just paint over the tape?
No, it looks like... Dude, it looks... I just can't... I'm not good at drywall, man. I can do all kinds of stuff, but I cannot do drywall.
It's totally, well, not unrelated, but I was a body technician in high school working on cars. Very, very similar techniques. Slapping Bondo on so much like drywall, but also terrible at drywall. I don't know why. I think I should be good at it. I've fixed plenty of cars.
Dude, I learned in the Navy how to fix air structures. You know, they'd be like, here's a piece of metal with a
Right.
bullet hole in it. Make it disappear. You're like, no problem. It's done. But give me some drywall. Forget it.
Fix a light socket, man. It looks like a big lump in the wall.
Yeah.
See
I
right where
think
it
the
was.
real trick with the drywall is that you're really creating the illusion of flatness, because drywall is never actually flat. You know,
Because
you've
it's
not
not.
2 flat sheets of drywall, and then you're filling
That's
the
what I'm gonna tell my
joint
wife.
with tape and mud. So obviously, it's going to be higher than the sheet itself.
Right.
Dude, that's what I'm going to say. Honey, no, it's an illusion of flat.
Yeah.
Don't mind all those lumps.
Yeah, no, this isn't terrible work. It's just an illusion.
It's an illusion of terrible work.
Yeah, you don't suck at drywall. You're just a drywall magician.
That's it. So anyway, so with your company, so first of all, how do you manage just your everyday demand of your production schedule? Because I know you're all over the place. You work for multiple builders. How do you coordinate just your production?
Well, we use a series of layers in terms of our personnel that kind of helps us coordinate everything more easily. We've got our office people, which is me and a few other guys, doing bids, estimates, the initial orders for all material, and then below us, we've got our field superintendents who schedule all the labor to take care of the job, from hangers, finishers, sanders. And then below them, we've got a layer of foremen that take care of all of the hourly men scheduling. So point ups, customer services, that type of thing. We've got a foreman that handles all of that in the field. They might get a little bit of help from one of our office people to get it on the schedule, but at the end of the day, it comes down to him being on the site and getting men in that house.
So how many people do you have actually managing your schedules?
10 or 11.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Okay, I got one I wanted to ask. How many construction managers? Now, how many builders are you working for right now?
Big builders,
Big builders.
4 or
Just
5.
4 or
but
5 big
we
builders.
we probably work for 20 or 30 smaller custom-sized guys.
Okay, so just guess at it, because I know you can't hit this on the head, but how many superintendent, construction manager, construction leaders for these builders are calling your guys?
50 to 60.
It's a lot. It's a lot to manage, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a lot,
Yeah.
because you think about like how hard it is with 30 sets of customers. When you're on the building end, when you're on the delivering these homes, you're like, oh, I have 30 customers. It's so much. I mean, your guys have 50.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all like hothead construction types.
And they all want their work done right now.
Right now, ahead of everybody else.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what, did you always have that? Did you guys have to scale up? When you first got involved with the company, you didn't have 12 people doing
No.
scheduling, did you?
When I first got involved, it was my father, his vice president, and then we had our 3 foremen or superintendents in the field managing everything. We didn't have the second layer of job site foreman. We didn't have a customer service manager. We didn't have any of that.
So how did you, what made the determination? How were you like, when were you guys just sitting around one day and you're like, oh, we're super busy, we need to hire some people? Or were you like, you know what, we need to plan for growth? How did that come about?
It was a little bit of both. We kind of saw the writing on the wall that customer service was growing, expanding, evolving, becoming a much larger part of our business.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with, homeowner expectations, scopes of work, varying things.
Are homeowners demanding?
No, not at all.
Okay. I'll just check it. So you scaled up from nothing to 10 or 12 schedulers?
Yeah. The guys in the field don't schedule so much as they receive the schedule from the office and from the superintendents, and then they distribute that to the actual boots on the ground, my hourly men.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll generate the customer service schedule from whatever requests we get from our builders in the office. That gets distributed to the superintendents and the foreman, and then they figure out who needs to be where.
So how do you get it to them?
We use software online. It's all online-based software that allows us to schedule just about anything we want. And with this one website, we have 5 or 6 different calendars for anything from customer service to birthdays and vacations. And whenever a task is scheduled, whoever's associated with that task gets an email when we generate the task, and then they get another one either the day before or an hour before the task starts as a nice little reminder.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it's worked out?
It's made life much easier.
What were you doing before you did that?
We were handing the superintendents a piece of paper in the office, and then they'd go and
It had their
figure
list
it
of
out.
things to do for the day.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's
Wow.
adapted quickly.
Oh,
How long
yeah.
ago was that?
Yesterday.
Probably 3 or 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
That is a big deal, man.
Yeah.
So technology has made a huge impact on your business.
Yeah, we've picked up a lot of little bits of technology along the way that have made our lives a lot easier. Scheduling, and you were talking about Stack earlier. I've been using that for the last 2 or 3 years. And
Oh, hold on to that. We're going to talk about that in a second. Because I think that's
That might have been the
awesome.
breakthrough
It's-
of this afternoon.
It's increased
kidding.
my productivity personally because I do a lot of our bidding and estimating, and I can turn around a large bid in a day where it used to take me a week.
So what do you call it? What's a large bid?
An entire community with 6 or 7 house types.
And you can do that in a day using Stack?
If nobody bothers me, yeah. I'll knock it out.
I'm sure nobody bothers you.
Can I tell you how Stack has made my life a little bit harder?
How's that?
You're going to love this. Because when I was a project manager, I used to be able to budget for custom options. And I could put whatever I wanted in for paint and drywall. And it would pay, and it would happen, and that would just be the end of it. And then Mitch came into my life. And he'd be like, dude, you shorted me $214 on this house. And I'm like, nuh-uh. And he's like, yeah, huh? And I'm like, oh, man.
Oh, let me tell you, I've seen the emails he sends out. He's like, the following communities owe me money. I'm like, delete. So that's cool. So you do all the estimating for the company or no?
Not all of it. I do a large portion of it. Mainly the production work. I like to take care of that because the options can get pretty complicated, and when you're consistently coming up short on options, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, it costs a lot of money. So
Yeah.
when you say options, like you're talking about like additional rooms or finished basements, things like that?
Yeah, anything above and beyond what your base house structure would give you. A sunroom, a rec room, a bedroom in the basement, any of that
How
stuff.
do you handle that if you do miss an option? I assume most of the builders are pretty good to work with, or how does that work?
Some of them are good, some aren't so great.
Yeah.
Usually they're understanding, but there are definitely circumstances where builders look at me and say, well, it was your takeoff.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
Because, we always talk about our budgets. And, once that budget is set, it's super tough
Yeah.
to have somebody come back to you and say, hey, by the way, I missed $5,000 worth of options. Give me some money.
Yeah.
Because there's your profit. It's gone.
Oh, yeah.
So, but the flip side to that is if you miss that option, your profit's gone. You
Yeah.
still have to do the work.
Yes.
Oh, man, that's tough. And is Stack is it a pretty easy tool to not miss?
It's extremely easy.
Awesome.
I mean, when you load the plans in, it will name your pages for you.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. And
So I had a demo of it the other day. I was super impressed.
Yeah.
So because how do you upload the plans?
it's very simple. You go in there, create a new project, click upload, and drag and drop your PDF in there.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I watched the preview of how a stack works, and it was so easy. They took a PDF, threw it in there, and it labeled. Like it searches. I guess it has some kind of mechanism where it searches for the page numbers and the description on the page and gives you like an index right next to it. So you can just go straight to what you're looking for, or you can search. Like if you want to know how many outlets are in a house, you can just type in outlet count or whatever, and there it is.
Nice.
Pretty badass.
That is pretty badass.
Yeah, it's really nice.
You know what? I owned my own general contracting company a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I hated people would come to me like, hey, I want to do whatever. And I'd be like, sure, no problem. Because I never said no. I'm an idiot. And I would sit down.
Because you were hungry.
I was hungry for work. And I would do everything with a scale, pencil, and graph paper.
Yep.
Oh.
And 10% fluff.
Yeah.
Just because
Dude.
you know you made mistakes somewhere.
Dude,
When I started doing drywall, that's how I did it.
Right.
A scale and a pencil.
Oh, my God. It's
Well,
brutal,
I
man.
can't tell you how many times. And I think that the basement finishing is one of the things with the production builder that, especially with your trade, with drywall and paint in general, gets off because we like to finish additional space in basements.
Yeah.
Lower levels are like the one that kills it because all the stuff upstairs or on the second floor, all those are book options.
Right.
But then usually we have a bathroom and a finished area in a basement, and then we have the option when you have an extension to a house or a sunroom or any of these places that are new space in your basement.
Yep.
There's no option for finishing that. So that's like a one-off, take-off type of thing. And I can't tell you how many times, somebody's carrying 2 sheets at a time down the stairs because the drywall company didn't have the right takeoff.
Yeah.
So that hasn't happened in a couple of years. I mean, I got to be honest, since we started working with HDS, it's been really great.
Well, they probably got burned a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then said, we got to fix this. Like most experienced contractors do.
Yeah, so how'd your dad trick you into running this company, huh?
He didn't have to do too much. When I got out of school, I came home and I was looking for something to do, and it just so happened that we had a big contract with a builder that works with the military to do 1,100 off-base housing units for Langley Air Force Base.
Wow, awesome.
So he shipped me down there, and I spent 4.5 years there building 1,100 units.
Wow.
That was my first
I
real
was
taste
going to
of management.
say, I thought your dad said, hey, Mitch, you can either keep scrapping these houses out, or you can come into the office. And you were like, let me get the dust off my shirt.
I just heard
I'll
a
be right
podcast
there.
the other day about how Davy Crockett's dad used to make wild bets and then eventually sent him to work on someone's farm for a couple years to repay one of his debts. It's not anything like that, right?
No.
So one of the big things we were talking about. So one of the reasons we really wanted to have you on the show is because we want to talk about customer service, right?
Sure.
So how do you, so we talked about how you estimate and how you manage your day-to-day production, but how do you manage the demand from your customers for when they are screaming about instant service? How do you deal with that?
That is a tough one, and it is constantly a problem that we have to deal with day to day. I actually recently hired a customer service rep specifically to handle situations like that because, we've got our regularly scheduled customer services where we go in at the 10-month, 11-month, 12-month point and touch up just about anything the homeowners want within my scope of work.
Sure.
And then on top of that, we have to deal with the fire drills and the 30 days and the 90 days and all these little walks that builders like to give their homeowners to make them feel warm and fuzzy.
So for the uninitiated, 30 days and 90 days refer to scheduled maintenance on finished products. So they'll go in 30 days after it settles, 90 days after it's scheduled, typically 11 months, things like that.
Yeah, I wonder about, you have scheduled work days on the job site for our construction managers or superintendents. And a lot of times you'll come in and you'll do your final, and then I'm assuming you'll think you're done in that house, and then you get that call like, hey, I need 8 hours worth of work right now for tomorrow morning, and I know it's noon, but does that customer service rep that you've got in the field only work on settled homes, or are they also putting out fires during the production process?
She only works on settled homes.
Okay.
When it comes to the fire drills like that in the production process, we kind of put that back on my superintendents and foremen. They are the direct connection to all the manpower in the field. They can, shift. Say we've got 3 guys doing a point up in lot 350. They'll pull 1 out to handle the fire drill and, tell the other 2 guys, well, you're getting a little bit of overtime tonight.
Do you train them for that, or do you I mean, how do you? Because I got to tell you, I don't think I've ever had an issue with one of your foremen. When I was a CM in the field, I'd call him up. I'm sure I was just as irresponsible as everybody else, and I'd call him up and say, "Hey, you got to get over here. You got to do it right now." I don't think I ever had a problem with a guy. It was almost like they had, because I always make the joke. It's like when I'm training CMs, I'm like, look, our trade contractors do not have drywall finishers and painters, excuse me, hanging in a closet. You can just pull them out and send them to your house. Yeah. You got to be.
But yet, when you call, they always seem to show up. Like, how is that? Is there a van full of guys out there on the job?
It's hard.
We don't know about.
It's hard to say that and then have a contractor like HDS is like, oh, you got no problem. We'll take care of it. Right. So what do you tell your guys about it? You tell them, you give them like parameters?
I really don't. They do pretty well managing themselves. I give them a lot of credit for just being responsible human beings and taking pride in their work. And, we take care of our men pretty well. So when we ask them to work overtime or work a Saturday, they're typically pretty happy to do it.
That's good.
I'm top it out. I'm sure they like the money. So
money usually helps.
That's a good motivator.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Turns out that's why we're all here.
So
not here because I make zero money here. Right. Whatever.
You got a pair of pants, dude. Come on. Actually, Mitch, you were a winner too at the live event.
I did win
came to Vanish.
How do you like those pants you wear them?
They're comfy. Yeah.
They're the best.
They're the best. They're pretty badass.
I know.
So we're actually going to do another live event. Because I looked at my calendar and I was like, what is this opening? So,
oh my God. I look forward to you talking about it for 6 months first.
So we are going to do another live event. Not at Vanish. I think it's a cool place, but the timing was no good just because people can't get there.
Yeah.
So I'd like to do it somewhere. I'm not even sure where. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know.
Yeah, come on.
But someplace that's easier to get to because, 15 it was just too tough. But anyway, we'll talk about that in the future once I work out the details. Anyway, so that's great, because I feel like when I've worked with your people in the past, they've got a mindset for quality. They're like, I want to put out the best product I can put out for, the company and for the builders that I work for. And I wonder if how you foster that with your employees, or if that's just something they're coming with, like when you're doing the interview process, you pick up on a certain thing. Like, how do you get them to do that?
I think it's more just repetition. We've kind of beaten it into their heads that, it's a much more egregious offense to me to be called out to a house because of poor quality than it is for me to have to pay you overtime. I'd much rather you do it right and take extra time than do it wrong and force me to come out there and explain why the house looks terrible.
Right, yeah,
you're still taking extra. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good because I'm telling you, I've seen poor quality, and when there's poor quality, I mean, so our customers. That's like the number one thing they see. They don't see, a plumbing pipe that's not glued. I mean, they'll see it eventually, but they don't see it right away. When they come out and you present the product to them, I mean, what they see is drywall and paint across the board.
And I remind my guys of that fact constantly.
Yeah,
80% of what that homeowner's looking at is our work. It better be right.
Right,
and they seem to understand that. At least the majority of them do.
I will say too, the folks that work for you are genuinely happy to do it, usually have a great attitude. They're excited, that they're, even when we have issues, no problem, we'll get on it, we'll make sure that it's squared away. I mean, and there's been times where, I walk out to a situation, it happened a few months ago actually with Mitch and I came out, to do a final inspection on a model that we were at, and Mitch had a stern brow and all of his foremen and all of the painters in the house, and I was like, uh-oh, somebody's getting in trouble. And it was minor. It wasn't serious stuff, but
this is when you showed up. You walked
when I showed up, Mitch was already there, and so was everybody that works for Mitch. And
awesome.
And they were all like, no problem, like making notes, blue tape, getting it done. And the following day, we were right back in business.
So did you? So you're a younger guy.
Yeah.
When you were put in a position of authority with the company, how did you, I guess you had already been doing the work, but how did you gain the respect of the people that work? Because they were working for your dad, so they're probably like, who's this kid?
It definitely wasn't immediate. It took some time, and a lot of it came down to me asking them their opinion on issues. Like, how would you best fix this? How do you think we should do this?
Awesome.
Yeah, they seem to respect that I was acknowledging that they knew more than me.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Get their
from there,
buy-in.
we just continued to grow. As I learned from them, I continue to apply
That's
it.
a great answer.
Yeah. I rely on my men as much as they rely on me, if not more.
Let me tell you, I was in the field the other day with a seasoned CM, and we had a contractor was rattling off something, and I answered, and my CM was like, "Hey, no," and corrected me, and I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, yeah, you're right," and it dawned on me, as much time as I spent in the field as a CM, it's not my day to day now.
Man, tell me about it.
So there's some things that you forget, and it's awesome to acknowledge the knowledge and experience of the people that are actually doing it all the time, because there is definitely, if it's somebody that cares about their job, man, they've got a knowledge base.
Well, think about it like this: when your manager, your boss, empowers you and your people, like the guys that are on our level. What do you think we should do with this, guys? How are we going to handle this? Okay, that's a good point. No, I don't think you should do it like that because of this reason. Yes, that's a good point. What do you think? And now everybody's buy-in is there. Now, when I leave that meeting, I feel like, man, this is partly my decision. I feel good about this.
Yeah.
So that is just a basic developmental way to get everybody's approval. Use the knowledge that from the people that work for you. I'm sure it's no different with any trade, let alone construction management in general, right?
Well, I know when I worked for my dad when I was a teenager.
That sounds terrible.
They hated me. I was the worst. I was like, my daddy owns the place. I was the worst.
Love it.
So, we'd come to work all hungover and be like, well, I'll be in the back sleeping. Let me know when it's, lunchtime. It's terrible.
That wasn't me. It was my brother.
Oh, Jake was like hard worker, and I'm like, ugh, hungover again.
Nothing's
anyway, nothing's changed.
Yeah, I always tried to avoid that type of attitude because I knew that they were going to resent me because of who I was.
100%.
Right.
And I knew that I had to earn that respect and that trust, and that was my only goal. I wanted to not distance myself from my dad's legacy because he's a great guy, he's a great businessman, he knows so much that I could only hope to one day know as much as he does. But I didn't want to be Mark's son.
Right.
No, I get it.
I wanted to be Mitch, so I did everything I could to make my own reputation and build respect myself.
Yeah.
Not just because he told them to respect me, but because they actually wanted to.
Let me tell you, you can tell. So when you come across a family-owned business, there's tons of them out there. You can always tell when someone kind of expects the respect because they're somebody's child, and the ones that are actually out there earning it, because they don't want to just rest on the legacy their parent built. They want their own legacy, and we have several trade partners that are like that, and you can tell. I can rattle them off. If they're gonna have to sponsor the show, but there's you can always tell. There's a couple in particular that I know that are my go-to trade partners.
Right.
Yeah. They're family-owned companies, but I know that if I call the son or the daughter, they're more than just the legacy of their parent. They're creating their own. Yeah. And it really shows in the quality of the work. And honestly, that's how companies grow to be, 20, 30, 50, 60, 70 years in business versus the one that as soon as the primary, business owner retires, the business just fizzles out.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's awesome. So, you're building a legacy of your own.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it all started with him holding me accountable. Anytime I screwed up, he was jumping down my throat. It wasn't don't worry about it.
That's a good point, too, though, because, there's so many guys in this industry, in all parts of the industry, that are like, I don't want to work here. The guy's an asshole. I'm not going to do it. But let's face it, don't get me wrong. There's some people that they're just never going to be nice, and they're miserable. But sometimes a little tough love and insisting on a certain level of quality or a certain management style, there's nothing wrong with that, provided that you back it up with, hard work and, the results will follow.
Yeah, dude. You get the respect and you'll win more jobs.
Right. And let's put it this way. HDS is one of those companies that, I insist on. I don't want to work with anybody else because I know what to expect.
Well, and it's funny you say that, man, because as soon as I left the area, I was like, oh, this is what poor quality looks like.
Right. Right. Look, I've worked with a whole bunch of different drywall and paint companies, and it's a different ballgame. Mm-hmm. So you have to working? Okay, so your product goes in halfway through the process of building a new home, and then it's painted, shortly after, and then a whole bunch of other work happens, and then you're expected to come in and make everything look perfect at the last minute. And I know we usually separate it into a number of draws, and there's ways that we can hold you accountable for the work at the different stages. But how do you deal with the other trade partners and their, how their mistakes in their work and all that stuff, applies to what you have to come back and fix?
Are you talking about when they turn his work into Swiss cheese?
Yeah. like the one time I saw that a sewer clean out wasn't exposed in the basement. They forgot to cut around it, so the plumber literally just walked with his hammer and just nailed 25 holes in a row until he found the stack.
Was it a precision hammer?
No. It probably wasn't even his hammer. Let me borrow that for a second.
Yeah, how do you deal with that? I mean,
yeah, how do you deal with that? I'm sure it's hard not to get frustrated with them and in turn charge the builder, let's say, for your inconvenience.
On one hand, it's partly just part of the animal. Fixing other trades' damage is part of my job, and
right.
As such, I build some of that into my budget. When I price jobs, I know I'm going to spend X number of hours touching up small dings and dents from trim carpenters, appliance guys, countertops, cabinets, all that. Now, when you start cutting holes left and right to find something that's not where it should be, or when you open a hole with a hammer, that's when I have to start looking at you with my hand out saying, all right, you're going to have to pay me for this. Yeah, that wall was finished and it looked great. And now I have to patch it.
Well, that's when we pass the savings along.
Right.
Hey, does Stack give you the opportunity to build that in to your estimates?
See, I don't actually use the budget function of Stack. I use it for the takeoffs and the estimates, but I've actually built myself a budget bid sheet through Excel.
Okay.
Where it's 3 pages. The first page is the bid sheet I send out to the builder. The second page is the stock sheet, which I would send to my supplier as if I were stocking that house today. And the third sheet is my actual budget sheet. Gotcha. So all I have to do is fill in the stock sheet as if I was stocking the house. Page 3 automatically pulls those quantities into my budget sheet, calculates all my accessories, my labor, and all that, and spits me out a price.
I don't know if you know this or not, but Stack will actually spit you out estimates in Excel.
I do know that. Okay. And I would be using it, but I had designed this Excel sheet before I got into Stack.
Throw that Excel sheet in the trash and start using Stack all the time.
4 years of hard work.
Just kidding.
That's what it comes down to. He's like, but I built that spreadsheet myself.
I know, right?
And I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah.
All right. So if you had to, I'm kind of putting you on the spot a little bit, but if you had to give some advice to like a startup paint and drywall company, right? You had to give them something that they could hold on to that would help them build their company. What would that advice be?
Pick a different trade. No, I'm just kidding.
Nice. Learn computers.
It's just patience. I mean, you're going to deal with a lot of the same issues on a day-to-day basis. You're going to have a lot of the same arguments with construction managers and project managers. You're going to have a lot of the same problems with homeowners, and you just got to be patient. You have to understand that a lot of people don't really understand the drywall and paint process, and they're not going to. They don't care enough to understand it.
Yeah, I don't even care.
Yeah, you just don't want my uncle to see it. That's what they think.
You got to be patient. You got to be somewhat reasonable and fair.
Yeah,
especially when it comes to other trade partners, because if you continuously hand them big bills, you're going to get one too. So
right.
Yeah, no, that's true. So patience. That's sage advice right there, my man.
Yeah.
So I think that goes for everybody in the construction industry, because I can tell you there have been times where I've lost my patience. I think it's ugly.
Yeah, and on top of that, you got to be patient because you can't expect to make a fortune on your first job.
Yeah,
it's you're not going to make a fortune doing drywall and paint.
You're not. Well, that's the thing. You're not going to make a fortune doing anything if you go into it with the mindset. And I don't want to get off on a tangent, but if you go into any venture like that with the mindset that you're going to be rich immediately, you will end up broke very quickly.
Yeah.
So it takes patience.
Yep.
So good for you. That's sage advice. All right, let's wrap this up. So I failed to mention the greatest website of all time earlier in the beginning of the podcast. That's buildertactics.com. Go check it out. The manual's still on there. I have a listener. I owe you the review of your resume. I apologize. You know who you are. If you're still listening or you're just mad at me, I don't know. But I'll get it to you. I'll get it to you probably this week. So check it out. We have some shirts and sweatshirts you can buy with different logos on them. It's great stuff. It goes to support the show. Check out stackct.com. It just happened to be a bonus. Mitch walked in here. We started talking about Stack, and he was like, hey, I use that program. Awesome.
I know it sounded staged, but it totally was.
Oh, my God. It totally was staged, but that's legit.
Yeah, I'll put my reputation on the line and say that I was not lying. I love that software.
That is really cool.
Awesome.
Anyway, so check out the website. There's a ton of information on the blog. All the estimating that we talked about a couple weeks ago, it's all on there. All the formulas, tips and tricks on how to properly estimate volume, area, 2x4, 2x6 walls, whatever, stone, concrete. Go check it out. And until next time, I think that's all we got.
Thanks for coming out, Mitch.
Thanks for having me.